awesome it will shock you to the core.
Finally, another podcast about
Godzilla!
and all his giant monster friends.
This could be the end of civilization.
Yeah, probably. So join your hosts, Chris Cicchini and Chris Casares.
Ladies and gentlemen,
You're listening to the podcast. From Odo Island. And welcome to the podcast from Odo Island. You can find us on Twitter at Odo Island Pod. We made it part of the intro.
We did it.
I did it. I am Smooth Chris, and with me as always is the Tommy Lee to my Alex Grady, Slick Chris.
Well, at least I'm not the Gary Sharon to your Sammy Hagar, I guess.
So in your Van Halen fantasy, neither one of us is a gigolo.
No, that's when we have Dan on. He's the Danny Lee Roth of the.
Got it. Perfect.
That's a callback to our Godzilla vs. Ghidorah drinking game episode, which surprisingly is, and maybe even tragically, one of our most popular episodes. I don't talk too much about stats and whatnot. Yeah, I don't talk too much about stats and downloads on the air, but I look at them constantly, and I always go like, oh, like what are our most popular episodes? And like, it seems like from like the way like when you look at the data, like people like listen to whatever episode they first come on to, and I'm glad you all stick around. That's we appreciate you all stick around, and I also appreciate that it seems to be the go-to second episode to listen to is Godzilla vs. Ghidorah, the drinking game. So that's you get us at our best, you get us at our worst. Whichever one of those, whichever tag you want to apply to whichever episode. So,
I think that episode's fun though. We recorded the intro sober.
Maybe that was what I meant by. Maybe that's what I meant by you get us at our best. You get us at the shit tanked episode.
But yeah, we recorded intro sober. Then the rest of the episode was just us drunkenly ranting about this movie, and we loved it.
Yep, that was like literally right before like we started like our pandemic hibernation.
Yeah, when we went on our separate sides of the island and did it remote.
Yep.
But
well,
good times. A lot of people have been saying this is the best time to be a fan of the genre. Due to the influx of things that are coming out that are just awesome.
I think I probably would agree with that. Although it was pretty sweet when I was like a kid in the 90s and like all these Godzilla movies and the Gamera series got rebooted.
Yeah.
And we looked to the future of Godzilla 98 with so much hope and optimism. That was a good time.
yeah,
but I would say, this is probably... I would say, I guess for me, as like someone who has been into Godzilla, I guess since for almost 25 years now, pretty intensely. This is probably like one of the most magical times that I can recall in the fandom.
Because I mean, think about it. We've just had all the legendary movies. We got another one coming out. We've had Shin Godzilla. We have the anime Godzilla movies. You got Ultraman stuff going on. You had the Pacific Rim series. And then coming out, you have Singular Point. You have the new Toho Godzilla movies that are coming out. Possibly more legendary movies. We don't really know for sure yet.
Yeah.
But what's kind of gets lost in the shuffle a little bit, I feel like, has been Pacific Rim Black. Or The Black.
Good segue. Good segue.
That's where I was going with it. I played the long game. Pacific Rim Black, The Black came out on Netflix this past week, and at first I was like, I might want to space these episodes out a little bit, just watch one or two now and then like one or two later and keep it going like that for a little while. Watch it all in one day.
Same, yeah. So we'll talk about our thoughts Pacific Rim Black. We both kind of decided, because it's so new and fresh and people are probably still watching it, we'll kind of keep our thoughts spoiler free.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think we were probably both of the same opinion that we both like this quite a bit.
I thought this was so far the best anime quote-unquote series that has come out.
Yeah. I don't know. I liked the first Pacific Rim movie. I've actually never seen Uprising. But, I was never, a big, Pacific Rim person, but, this series, made me want to be, I want more of this content and this story that the anime, set up. And I was like, okay, yeah, I'm really fucking on board with, the Pacific Rim franchise now. It's just, well, I guess I'll just kind of encapsulate my thoughts as, I thought, the main human characters were all, really good.
Yeah.
I thought, the kaiju was particularly good. I guess, well, in particular, quote-unquote, the main one was
Copperhead
awesome.
Is his name?
Yeah. And then there is another monster thing. I'm trying to be careful here to not tread into, anything spoilerific that appears later. But I was like, oh my God, it was the second they drop a figure of this thing, I want it.
I know exactly what you're talking about, and I 100% agree with you. I thought the designs for the kaiju and the Jaegers were top notch. Especially the one where modifications are made, I guess you could say, without giving anything away. I thought that one could be a great toy.
So I really like JRPGs. I particularly like the Tales of series, Tales of Berseria and Tales of Graces and Symphonia and all that stuff. That's as anime or JRPG tropey as you can get with the characters, but I don't care. I love it anyway. And
sure.
This was giving me those sort of vibes. Not in the characters or a tropey sense, but just it felt like I was playing or watching the Pacific Rim JRPG, except it takes place in Australia. But I was like, yeah,
it's
this
an
is
ARPG.
Right up my alley. Takes place in Australia, but there's 3 people with Australian accents. So
yeah. It is interesting, the diversity in the accents that are in this. Giving away.
Yeah,
but,
Australian and not.
I think without giving anything away, just our overall opinions of this are that this is extremely good. Definitely worth the watch. It made me more of a fan of Pacific Rim. I was already kind of a fan, much like you in the same respect. I liked it, but I wasn't all about it or anything like that. But this definitely increases my my likeness of the series. 2 kind of the second movie, without giving anything away, 2 is kind of meh in terms of how it progressed the story and the direction it went. But this definitely gets it back on track, and this is sort of the sequel that I really wanted, So thumbs up from me. Definitely watch it.
I guess the ringing endorsement as I can give is that this anime took me from casual interest in Pacific Rim to now very vested interest in the future of Pacific Rim and maybe collecting Pacific Rim stuff now. So yeah, it succeeds.
And you said,
not the only.
You said though, without giving anything away, there's one in particular that's the coolest design that they got to make a toy of it.
Yeah. But not the only anime news. I guess we will chat about here. We got a new long form singular point trailer. Lot of new clips in this. Everyone who is so worried about Jet Jaguar's design, you can sleep a little easy because it shows that he gets real boy legs. So don't worry, all y'all that were worried about his little stumpy legs. But when the figure came out, which we will be talking about that figure more later on in this episode, a little bit of a later episode tease. But Yeah, I'll just start. Like, that trailer, like, looked incredible. Like, you get Godzilla's fucking firing his atomic breath. My boy Anguirus looks jacked still and looks like he's, I don't know. It looked like he had a lot of scenes, so I hope that means he's around for a while in the series. And you got, like, Blake and You'll Miss Him, like, Hedorah cameos. A lot of debate whether it's Kumonga or Megalon that's, like, attacking one of the main characters. I'm just going to go with Kumegalon until we get a definitive answer. Manda was in the trailer. Gabara was in the trailer.
Yep.
Jet Jaguar blowing off some small Rodan's head was in the trailer. That was pretty sweet.
I saw the stills of that. I was like, oh, I did miss that because I must have blinked there.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm jacked for that. So where are you at?
This looks great. I don't speak Japanese, and that's the trailer I watched, so I didn't understand what was going on so much. But just visually, what I saw, I liked. Godzilla looks awesome. I love that design. Just crazy and very intimidating.
And you brought up the point that he looks like he's probably 50 meters at tallest.
Just from the height that I saw him at, I was like, this is probably just your standard size Godzilla, so nothing to get upset about.
Yeah, I like the I think the design is awesome. I love like the new takes on everybody. Again, to tease for later in the episode, I got the Bandai Godzilla Single Point and Jet Jaguar figures, and we'll talk about that later. But that design is fucking badass, and I don't know, all the kaiju's like new designs are badass, and I cannot wait till there's already like placeholders on certain websites for the Anguirus figure coming from this, and I will be getting that instantly when that drops. The second I can, I will be getting that.
One observation I have about Godzilla is that when he opens his mouth, it's almost the same design as Pennywise when he opened his mouth in the It reboot.
I guess we didn't. Or actually, I'm not sure if you know this, but Godzilla, so the figure of that Godzilla is called Godzilla Ultima. Did you know that?
Yes, I heard that, yeah.
Yeah. So, like, I don't know what that means, because there's also, like, listings out there and, like, some toy websites where the pre-orders aren't up yet, but there's, like, Godzilla Form A, Godzilla Form B, or Godzilla A, Godzilla B, Godzilla C.
I did see that.
And then there's this, Godzilla Ultima, so... what does it all mean? Yeah. What does it all mean? Godzilla's out there hurting people and we don't know why.
I did see that they had the ABC things, and that intrigues me. The pessimist in me wants to just say that it's probably like monsters they don't have names for yet as the toy company, so they just said Godzilla.
Yeah, or it's just like, yeah, exactly. Yeah, I don't know. And I guess, it's probably nothing, but speculating is fun.
It could be. It could be something awesome.
Something I just said though gave me a good idea for like a Godzilla versus Kong drinking game. If we just loaded up all the TV spots and trailers like into a playlist, and you had to take a drink every time that guy said Godzilla's out there hurting people and we don't know why, or what's his face from True Blood says we need Kong, the world needs Kong, and that's it. That's the only two rules. You just make a playlist of all the TV spots and all the trailers that have come out, and just watch them in order, and just drink at those two lines every time they are uttered. You'll be
take a shot every time.
Take a shot.
Ugh, brutal. That would be brutal. Because there's so many of those TV spots. There's so many of them.
I know, it's like every day. I feel like there's just a new one. That's all right. I don't mind. I watch them all. I like them.
Yeah, I watch them all too, and that's what I want my feed to be. It's just nothing but new Godzilla versus Kong TV spots every day until the movie comes out.
Yeah,
it's great.
just go through life day to day, and every time you hear those lines, just you have to take a shot, no matter where you are. It's like the 2021 version of icing, except instead of chuggies. There you go. We've evolved this. Like, so if I call you, and you just hear the other end, we need Cog. The world needs Cog. You're gonna be like, damn it.
I'm gonna go out. And we each buy a 6-pack of Smirnoff Ice and keep it in our fridge. And at some point during the day, we're going to look at our phones and we're going to get text from the other saying the world needs Kong. We're going to drop what we're doing, going just go to our fridge and sit on our knees. And you have to take a selfie of us doing it too.
I can't believe we're adhering to these rules. So that's fun.
Yeah, it's just a fun idea for us. Or you.
Yeah.
You know. If you have friends.
Do it with milk. That's your thing. But
yeah, if you're under 21 or not of drinking age yet, do it with juice or something.
Yeah. Exactly. Well, I guess that's a good way to kind of shift over to the main meat and potatoes of today's very jam-packed episode as we round out our build-up to Godzilla vs. Kong with Godzilla King of the Monsters.
A lot of sizzle on the steak.
Yeah. So I guess as we do, before we dive into it, I will give the quick table setting, and then we will dive into our views here. So, Godzilla King of the Monsters came out in the before times of 2019. And
the last year.
Yeah. way back when. It was funny because like literally right before we were recording this, I was like having like a little Twitter exchange with one of our followers about like Michael Daughtry like live tweeting a viewing of this, and I was like, yeah, like in my head I was like, oh my god, that feels like that was like 4 years ago, but it was like really like 10, 11 months ago, and I was like, oh my god. I was like, where has the time gone? But anyway,
it was like 22 months
2019. No, his live tweet of King of the Monsters where he was like giving away trivia was like just like last April.
Oh, okay. Yeah, never mind.
Yeah. But so the movie came out in 2019. It was pretty much started development a couple years before that. Gareth Edwards was swapped out for Michael Daughtry because Gareth Edwards went on to do Rogue One, which is fantastic. Great Star Wars movie. And Michael Daughtry came on in and had a $170 million budget, which I think is actually the smallest budget of the three movies. Or it's definitely less than 2014 Godzilla. Did about $387 million worldwide, which the whole movie kind of fell on the lower end of the studio expectations. And but it was like the number one movie in the world for a while. I remember there was like some wonder if it was going to beat Aladdin or not when it came out, and it did beat Aladdin. I remember like it.
Was it the Marvel movie? Didn't that come out like a few weeks later?
There must have been. I just feel like they were always out. I remember like Aladdin and this came out like the same time. That was like but kind of talk about like 2019 versus now. Like the conversation like in 2019 was like, because it wasn't just King of the Monsters that underperformed like that year. Like a lot of like bigger movies that are expected to do well that year all kind of underperformed or just like were like the lower end of expectations. And I remember like you probably remember this too, there was a lot of talk about like, are people blockbustered out, like is like sequel fatigue like setting in, and is it just too many like major movies at a time? And now it's like I kind of feel like 2 years later people are probably like dying for that stuff like right now. And but back then it was, or back then 2 years ago it was like it was like the conversation of the sequel fatigue.
There was that, and I remember people thinking just like unless it's Marvel or Star Wars, or no, even Star Wars movies too that were starting to do bad. People were just kind of like they're sick of the sci-fi action adventure movies. You know, they're burned out. I definitely remember that conversation. But one thing you didn't talk about yet was the trailers leading up to this release.
Oh yeah. Yeah, let's circle back to that.
Okay.
And I'll just run through this other stuff really quick. So, like I said, 387 million worldwide. The movie's filled with, and I think we'll probably talk about it like as we go through the movie and stuff. Like it's filled with like a shit ton of like fan service and Easter eggs, and particular like. There's an Anguirus skeleton hidden in like Godzilla's like underwater home. Like the Calico from the Hanna-Barbera cartoon is in Boston. Like when Godzilla's coming into the Fenway area up the Charles. I assume up the Charles. I don't know. That body of water was a little mysterious to me, but I'm going with it was the Charles. But and then there was a lot of like kind of throwbacks to. A lot of older movies, like a lot of Godzilla and Kong scenes, like kind of King Ghidorah scenes, borrowed from like their older fights, like King Ghidorah wrapping his like neck around Godzilla, them squaring off. My favorite homage though is when Godzilla arrives in Boston and he like blasts King Ghidorah, like when King Ghidorah is about to kill Maddie, and like Godzilla's ray comes in, and then like it cuts to Godzilla like marching into the scene. Like that's like almost a shot by shot redo of Godzilla's appearance in Terror of Mechagodzilla, and I thought that was pretty sweet. And then while they do spend a lot of time in Boston and Fenway Park, like a lot of that stuff was not shot in Boston, but there was B-roll footage that was being shot in Boston with like. Just like for like extras and like scenery shots and stuff like that. None of the main characters are here, but I worked downtown Boston, and they were filming in the North End. And when I got word of it, I left my office and I tried to. I went to like where they were filming, and I was hoping they were filming at the time to see if I could like get in as like an extra or whatever. But they weren't filming. The setup was there, but. And I guess they were filming overnight, so there you go. I had a chance to try to be a background extra in King of the Monsters and failed. But so the reason why I want to come back to the trailer, because like talk about like leading to the release, because I wanted to kind of take it back to like we saw this like the night that it dropped, and like talk about fucking trailers, right? Like it was is this the one that was oh my god, what was the key thieves below?
Yeah. I don't remember. I remember hearing it in like tons of different things though. There's like a Twilight Zone episode where it's used. It's all over the place.
Claire de Lune. That was my fake accent to try to say it.
Wasn't it in The Shining too?
Yes. Yeah, I think so.
Okay. It's been forever since I watched
that was like, God, that trailer was like, I don't know, between the two of us, we must have watched that thing like 1,000 fucking times at least before that movie came out.
Oh yeah. I don't think a trailer has ever got me more hyped for a movie. Except for maybe like the Ninja Turtles teaser trailer when I was 6.
Yeah. That was God, it was like it gave me like chills or goosebumps almost to like the part where King Ghidorah like kind of flaps his wings open in front of the Argo when it's like in the storm. I was like, oh my god, I was like, that is so cool looking.
They did a great job with this too, because everyone was talking about like they didn't want the trailers to spoil the movie. In some ways it did kinda, but in the good ways it didn't. Like you didn't see King Ghidorah. You saw Mothra like under the waterfall, like open up her wings, and then you saw Rodan coming out of the volcano with his back turned.
Yeah.
You saw him like spread his wings, and that was it. and it just got you pumped.
It's like if people worry about trailers spoiling movies, if you watch like the old like Showa era trailers, like it's pretty much like the entire movie like encapsulated into like a minute and a half and 2 minutes. Like those are trailers that give the entire movies away. But God, yeah, that trailer was so good. Like the kind of like the scene with like I remember like it's like one of those things like you just kind of watch like speculate, try to wonder like what everything is like when Madison is like in Boston and like the storm clouds coming in and like we had like no idea that like King Ghidorah is basically going to be surrounded by a giant shitty storm system through the entire movie. And then we're going, what is this? Is like a weird like nightmare scene? Like what is happening here? But it starts with that. I remember we both like, oh look, there's the Prue. They're going to be in Boston at some point.
Yep. Also, not just this awesome trailer that we got, they also had the website with like the cave engravings of the kaiju.
Oh yeah,
and like their locations
and the outpost map.
Yeah, their locations around the world, and you could like track Godzilla. And in each location, you got like different information about the kaiju that was there. Like sometimes it'd be like restricted, but like sometimes you get like a little snippet of it and stuff.
Didn't they use that to like when they dropped a trailer at Comic-Con or something? It was like they had Godzilla on the radar moving like towards like San Diego or something like that. I think they were like tying shit like that in. And then I remember like one day people were like, "Ooh, Godzilla just passed by Skull Island." But then like, like nothing really came to that. It was just like a little, cutesy little thing. I don't know. I like that shit. That shit
it just makes it's just good marketing, I feel like. Where you track Godzilla, but you also get to read about like all the different monsters in the world and stuff. And like you don't get too much information, you just get like basically their legend.
Yeah. Yeah. They created a whole lot of new monsters for this movie, and like, Michael Daughtry's explanation was, he's like, how much Toho wants for all those other people? All those other kaiju? Yeah, we're gonna create our own. They're only gonna be on like the movie screen for like 2 seconds. We're gonna make our own. But I don't know. They all look cool. The ones that we see.
Even the Behemoth one.
I don't like the Behemoth one. I don't get it. But you know what?
I know
the internet does. So I don't hate it. I just don't get it. But you know what? That's the internet's darling, right? That's like, this is like your favorite obscure fucking Ring of Honor wrestler from fucking 2005. That's what Bahamut is, doing the flippy shit. No, I'm just kidding. Like, whatever you want.
That's pretty much how I felt about Gigan. I was like, what the fuck is this anyway? Like, why would anyone want
Oh my
this?
God. This is like this past minute is probably the most controversial shit we've ever said in this podcast. Yeah. So,
but
no,
like, I don't hate it or anything like that. I'm just kind of like, I don't get it.
Yes, the internet has latched onto it, and you know what? That's it's going to be one of those things. Like Behemoth is going to get signed to a big deal in a later legendary movie, and then I'm going to go like, oh shit, I didn't like this kid on the indies, but now that they're on the big bright stage here, I'm on board. I'm on board now. So
the one they made that I liked the most was the one that came out of the hillside.
Oh yeah, the one that everyone speculated forever was Anguirus.
Yeah, I just thought that was a good hiding spot. He's just been there for centuries, and like people built houses on like his back and stuff, and then he just like pops up like one day.
Yeah, there's like a Muto that popped up too, and it's like I was like, oh, I guess Godzilla and the Muto forgot that like they have like an ancient like blood feud between their species because. That's what Godzilla does. Godzilla's species apparently has ancient blood feuds with everybody in the MonsterVerse, so, probably slipped his mind. That's all.
Well, maybe because that was Muto Prime, I think that was his name. Maybe the Muto Primes are friendly to Godzilla, whereas the other two Mutos are antagonistic to him.
Well, there was a whole comic about Muto Prime blowing up Godzilla's dorsal plates, which is why they look more classic in this one, because they had to regenerate. So nope, still ain't friends. Just
okay.
But
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I don't actually have the comics either, but I'll get to them one day. But I guess we should just dive into the movie itself. Kick us off there.
I remember when we first saw this in the old theaters there, that I went to a bar beforehand because you guys were all like on your way in. So I was
at
like,
a wedding rehearsal. A rehearsal that's for a wedding.
Exactly where you were. And I was just like, you know what? I'm going to go to this bar and wait for everybody. So I tossed a few Steve Weisers back, had myself a good old time. And by the time you guys got there, I was like, good thing we're going to go watch a movie for a couple hours so I could just sober up a little. And good thing this was a longer movie, too, because by the end of it, I felt good, but during the movie, I was like, I'm kind of drunk for this. So
I think my wife drove me, because I got pretty drunk, I think, before. So
yeah. But, like, I just remember seeing it and enjoying it, but not really appreciating it so much. And I remember wanting to go back in theaters a few weeks later and see it again, just because like I kind of felt like I missed stuff that you were talking about. And then it was out of theaters, but like 2 weeks later it was on Blu-ray, so I watched it, and I was just like, oh, this movie is just one of a kind.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember like we saw it with a group of about, I think it was like almost like 10 of us, like saw that group. And
yes, it was a large group.
Yeah, I can't remember like the reactions were kind of mixed when we walked out. I remember going like, I was like, no, that was pretty sweet, because like, I mean, what is this movie basically? It's like pretty much like 2 hours of like straight monster action for the most part. Like there's a little bit of a breather in like, you know, about 2/3 way through the movie, but for the most part, like you're not going long in between monster stuff happening. And you know, that's all right with me. Like not like, you know, I love the 70s Godzilla movies. They are not deep on message. They're just big on fun, right? And that's corny to say, but as soon as that left my mouth, but like, I don't know, like that's fine too. Like not every Godzilla movie has to be Shin Godzilla. Not every Godzilla movie, in my opinion, to me, has to be something I really like Planet Eater.
Yes.
You know, like you can just have like this is what I always say, like the more different Godzillas we got, that's good, because like I don't know, Godzilla being like a superhero, and you know having like over the top fights with his over the top enemies is just as much as like Godzilla being a symbol of nuclear horror and misuse. Like
yes,
and this fell more on the fun side, and that's, you know, that's okay with me.
How did you feel about the human characters and cast?
You know, I like them. Like I think can't remember the actress's name, but Maddie,
yes,
11 from Stranger Things,
Millie Bobby Brown.
Yeah, like, thank you. Yes. I'm just gonna call them by whatever names I can remember, because I either can't remember actors' names or I can't remember character names. But I like her a lot. Like, you know, if the MonsterVerse continues, I hope like she kind of stays part of it. I think she's like a nice character to kind of like build around. You know, she's almost kind of becoming like the Mickey Sagusa of like the Legendary franchise, and that's cool. And Jonah, you know, the dickhead dad from Game of Thrones, who dies on the toilet in Game of Thrones. You know, like I don't know, he's just like
Charles Dance.
So. But
Charles Dance.
But
he was the bad guy in like, Last Action Hero too.
But you know, he is good playing like the eco-terrorist character, although I don't like it. It's like funny because like, so I guess kind of getting into the premise of the movie, it's like Jonah and Maddie's mother are just like, they're eco-terrorists who are pretty much like, they have Thanos' plan from the Avengers, basically going like, you know, like the world's resources are, you know, finite, so we're going to essentially commit genocide to kind of rectify that and just wipe out the human race, essentially. And I was kind of like, what is like it's just like the weird, I don't know, it's like the weird motivation. Like, it's like, I was like, oh my god, this guy just wakes up and just goes, fuck the planet, man, we gotta like fucking course correct these fucking greenhouse gases and shit. Jesus, like we gotta.
Well, they've
the only way to do that is to release a whole bunch of monsters.
They view humanity as the problem. It's like,
yeah.
The Earth is supposed to be green and blue and lush, and we are There's deforestation going on. There's the clean air is going away, all because of us and what we're doing. So their plan is to save the planet by killing humanity.
Yeah, eco-terrorist motivations are just always kind of like the weirdest motivations for me in movies. But you know what? It would have been like funny if there was like one scene where he goes like, no, this isn't really about like ransoming like all like the world governments. What do you think? I really gave a fuck about this eco-terrorist shit? Nah, that was just a way to like fucking convince people. That would make a lot of sense to me. But
that was the Kevin Nash versus Ricky Morton feud.
It doesn't have to make sense to me. Like, I don't know. I hold this movie to like a different standard than I hold a lot of other movies. Like, if something doesn't make a lot of sense, like, I don't care. Like, because it's fun and it's entertaining. So, like, and like they all play their roles well. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I liked all the human characters. I'm gonna guess we're probably going to spend some time on the guy who does the whole Godzilla thing. Like, he was the only one that I was like, you could get. I've had enough of you. I think, but
yeah, I guess that character was supposed to be based on Rick from Rick and Morty, and I don't really watch Rick and Morty, so I don't know, but that's what I've heard. But that is also the bad guy from Billy Madison.
Oh yeah! Oh my god! There's so many '90s villains making their appearances here.
Yeah, he's done other stuff too.
Yeah, he was a little.
But
he had like that weird line where he's like, "I record everything." Buddy.
Yeah.
Then he just, he inserted. If I have like one critique about this movie, is that like they use that guy to insert humor at like the weirdest times.
Yes. Like
in the movie, like
they also
I didn't
had
get that. But
they also had that really annoying guy from like he's very mousy. And what show was he on? He was on some like comedy show. I forget his name.
Wait, which guy in this movie?
The guy with the curly hair and the beard, and like when Dr. Serizawa suggests that humanity becomes Godzilla's pet instead of the other way around. He's like, "Oh, Dr. Serizawa didn't mean that. What he meant was that."
Yeah. Well, I like how Madison's father like constantly shits on him throughout the movie.
Yes.
And he does it like way more often than like I remember him doing. Like there's like one part where it's like the hangar doors like won't open and he's like, I can take you to the hangars. He's like looks at him, he's like, anybody else? He's like, what? Yeah, it's like
he was all of us in that scene. Yeah, he was all of us in that scene for sure. And that was played by
he was the audience.
He was played by Kyle Chandler, who I really wanted to see him in his house, which is also coincidentally one of the houses they used in the Avengers.
Oh yeah. I was gonna say that's Tony Stark's like cabin.
Yeah,
it's like
same house. But I was hoping to see the posters that Kyle Chandler had from the King Kong 2005 movie from his cabin, and I was hoping to see those posters in the background of his cabin from this movie, meaning like they were related somehow. But there wasn't any. Like I was hoping he could be like the grandson of that character to tie the two movies together.
Well, the characters. I mean, yeah, I guess Serizawa kind of gets his own. She gets his own spotlight, right? Like so, he's Ishiro Serizawa in the legendary franchise is a little nod to Ishiro Honda as opposed to Daisuke Serizawa is what his original first name was. But yeah, he does like the inverse of what his namesake does in 1954. He uses a terrifying weapon to sacrifice himself to revive Godzilla and gives notes on how to like keep him going and how to like I don't know. Though I almost made a spoiler comment for Godzilla versus Kong, but I won't. I'll cut myself there. But yeah, like he is like he was like so I don't know in 2014. I feel like he spent most of the movie just kind of like taking his glasses off, like and kind of pointing at stuff with like his like mouth wide open. Whereas like in this movie, I actually thought like I don't know, like he like was like I don't know, he kind of like it was like very sad to me like when he died. Like and he's like he does like he has like the moment with Godzilla like before he dies and he's like goodbye old chum and he's just like gives him like a little pet and I was like
but at the same time there was no other option. It was either him or someone else would have to do it, and he wasn't willing to sacrifice anyone else, especially since his assistant was squashed earlier in the movie. And like maybe he just...
Oh yeah, she gets one of the only other recurring characters. God, she wins the Bryan Cranston Award of this movie.
Yes, she sure was. She sure did. Yeah, she got squashed pretty quick, and I think maybe that played a role. Like people always say, like question whether Serizawa should or shouldn't have done it, but like I think her death sort of played a role in his decision too. Where like without her, he really didn't have anyone else close to him. And maybe that played a role in his decision to sacrifice himself for Godzilla.
Yeah, it seemed like he didn't really have too much else going on. It seemed like so.
Maybe so. You're saying Michael Dougherty had a character who fulfilled this purpose and then sacrificed themselves? Is that what you're saying?
Well, like I remember, like Michael.
You think he would do something like that?
I remember, like he was like asked about the assistant's death, the other doctor's death, and he was like, "Yeah," he goes, "I wanted to kind of like basically he wanted to get over how evil King Ghidorah was, like right from the get go, and how like death can just kind of come from everybody." I was like, "Yeah, I guess every movie needs its Bryan Cranston character in the MonsterVerse." Don't know who's going to get it in Godzilla vs. Kong, but we'll see. What big character is going to get Bryan Cranston unexpectedly? But yeah, they all were cool. It's like funny because I was like actually thinking about that, like in terms of like Skull Island, how we said like they're all kind of like one note characters, but they all play that note well. And I would say these are all. I would say they're two notes, but it's like they're like two notes played with like a slide or a hammer on. They're not.
Well, I think Kyle Chandler's character is a little bit more well developed too, because he starts from a place of like hatred for Godzilla, but eventually evolves into a place of understanding and acceptance.
Yeah.
So it's like I get it. He's like the grieving father character who lost his son in San Francisco. That's how the movie starts. They're all looking up at Godzilla, who just basically is responsible for their son's death. And so Kyle Chandler sort of like uses that as his motivation at the beginning, but it evolves over the course of the movie, and he becomes a different character by the end of it. So I would say this movie has a little bit more character depth.
Yeah.
Where maybe...
There's actual arcs.
Yeah.
There's actual character arcs.
Where maybe Skull Island didn't, but I don't think Skull Island was any worse for it.
Oh yeah, it just very different situation.
Sure,
but this movie's all about the monsters. So I guess, what do we think of the monsters?
Oh, A+, all across the board.
Yeah, agreed. I think
this is like the best.
You go first.
This is like the best way to introduce those old monsters from Toho into like this series, was to just give them all sort of makeovers, give them new powers, new abilities, and I thought all of them were like perfect. Mothra was like beautiful, and then Rodan and Ghidorah were just terrifying.
Yeah, I thought Mothra is probably the only one that I wish was a little bit more time was potentially. They kind of touch on like Mothra's origins, like when like they have the two twin characters, like who. One's on the Argo, the other's at where Mothra's Monarch outpost, and it's like, yeah, it's like, oh look, we're like a whole history of twins that work for Monarch, and we were stationed at Infant Island in 1961. Like, it's all like nods like to Mothra's like origins, but but not really developed. And then Mothra obviously has like some sort of very supernatural powers kind of going on here, as like that movie kind of plays out, and she revives Godzilla and all that stuff. And but I would have liked to have seen like a little bit more of like Mothra's background kind of explored. Like, I don't think Rodan needs that. Like, I don't think King Ghidorah needs more than what he got. Like, maybe
the ultimate Dotri cut will have that in there.
Yeah. But like, I agree, like, it, Mothra's design was a very not traditional for Mothra, but like but still I thought it was like cool. Whereas like Rodan, I kind of felt like he was like his 1956 design, like from like the original Rodan movie, but like jacked up, which I thought was like pretty sweet. Like that is probably actually the best looking Rodan besides the original from 1956. I think this one and that one are like the two top ones, I think.
Yeah.
I'm going with that.
I remember seeing the ads for him popping out of the volcano, just being like, that looks awesome. It's different.
Yeah.
It's different enough to distinguish them, but it's still like very honest to the character's origins too.
Yeah.
Like, I guess Ghidorah has the most changes to him. Instead of having like the wings on his back, it's more like he has bat wings, kind of. Instead of flappy wings, he has like the bat wings.
In Boston, he kind of like uses them to help like kind of like run across the ground, like in the Boston fight too. Like he uses them as like almost like arms. But I guess the biggest change with him, which is like actually like was pretty interesting, is that like, it's like the three heads have like distinct personalities.
Yes.
It's like the middle head is running the show. I'm trying to remember like when Michael Daughtry did like had talked about the heads. Like, I think they named him like the first two were Ichi and Ni, because like 1 and 2 in Japanese, and then he was like, and the third one, the goofy one, was Kevin, which then launched all the King Ghidorah Kevin memes that permeate the subreddits all across the internet. But I was like, oh, like, it's a cool take, right? You get like the middle head is like the leader, the what I guess would be the right head is like kind of like the stern soldier head, and then like the goofy like psychopath one weirdo is like Kevin, the left head. Like the one who's
he's the one who's licking like the ashes when they kill everybody.
The ashes, yeah. And it's like the middle head has to like head like kind of like grabs him by the horn and like gets his like attention going. I was like, oh, that's a unique take. Is like Ghidorah was like never portrayed as like being 3 different personalities, right. Or I'm not going to go so far to say 3 different entities, but like it's probably like different. I don't know. Maybe it's different aspects of his personality or something, and it's like. Or I don't know, maybe it is 3 different creatures. I don't really know. Like, what they're trying to say, but like that was like traditionally how Ghidorah was never portrayed that way.
Right.
And I was like, that's a really cool. I think I like that idea better than the actual like classic Toho take, where that's not really touched upon. To me, I don't know, it gives them more layers, I guess.
Tons more personality. Tons more. Because just that one scene alone, it's kind of like when they made the new dinosaur in Jurassic World, when they made him kill like everything, not because he was hungry, just because he wanted to. Like that's how you give a monster character, is by giving them like distinct personality traits. And I guess that was his, is that he had 3 different personalities. Like I think I remember the right head was supposed to be like super vicious, and then like the middle head's the leader, and then the left head is Kevin, like the dummy kind of.
and that's the head that gets severed off in like the first. So actually, here's a good thing that I would have changed about this movie. So like King Ghidorah comes out of the Arctic. Godzilla and King Ghidorah have their first fight there. Ghidorah basically takes a powder, like when the military and Godzilla kind of start to close in on him. He kind of brushes them all away. Godzilla uses a classic roar in that scene,
Yes.
which is cool. They brought in the
When he
classic
gets
roars
knocked
for
into
that.
when he gets knocked into the pit.
Yeah. Yeah, I was like, ooh, I remember like in the theater when I heard that, I was like, oh, fuck yes, that was awesome. Mothra gets a couple classic chirps as well in the movie, which was cool. But anyway, so like, whatever, Ghidorah leaves the Arctic, like, you know, they free Rodan, Ghidorah has a brief clash with Rodan, where he kicks the shit out of him in like 5 seconds, and then Godzilla shows up and they have that battle in the ocean, and they're kind of battling underwater. Godzilla, like, I remember, like, in the theater going, like, I was like, oh shit, Godzilla just, like, ripped off, like, one of his fucking heads. Like,
Yes.
we're, like, you know, fucking 25 minutes into this movie. Like,
In one of the trailers leading up to this movie, there was a shot of that, but you see him pop out of the water, and you just see one of the necks is just sort of flapping. You don't see the third head.
yeah.
And I just remember seeing that.
And
like, so that's how it happened. It happened kind of early, too.
Yeah, and I remember, like, going, like, what does this mean for the rest of the movie? Then, you know, 20
Right.
seconds later, he just regenerates a head. But that was, like... But either way, but, like... So the thing I would have changed, though, is that, like, you know, the general colonel guy randomly comes on, like, the screen, goes, hey, we're shooting this, like, oxygen destroyer, like, you know, it's already in the air, and, like, whatever. Like, they shoot that, and, like, it basically has no effect on King Ghidorah, and, like, almost kills Godzilla, and then, like, King Ghidorah becomes, like, the new dominant monster in the world. I actually would have removed the oxygen destroyer part. I would have had King Ghidorah go over clean in that fight. And I think that would have been a really good way to establish King Ghidorah as, like, yeah, this is, like, a super serious threat. I mean, like, he just beat Godzilla clean, and
Heels don't
like,
heels don't win clean. Heels need the assistance.
Yeah, I don't
And
know.
That sets up the money match.
He could have been like, I was picturing King Ghidorah having like, you know, Kane's initial run where he was just squashing baby faces like left and right. And then, you know, then Godzilla Taker comes back and you know, wins the big
Is
one.
this Godzilla? Is this King Ghidorah's first clean win or first win in general over Godzilla?
It depends how you take the ending of Monster Zero or Invasion of the Astro Monster. A lot of people kind of take that as Ghidorah 1. But I mean, it's very ambiguous. They fall into the ocean and Ghidorah flies away. But is it? I think. Well, you know, do you count Mecha King Ghidorah taking Godzilla out to the ocean and dropping him there? Yeah. But yeah, no, like
though.
that's yeah. You know, again, who's got the wins? Mecha Godzilla's got the wins. You know, so. But, you know, I get it. King Ghidorah is the more, like, what pop culture associates as, like, the arch rival. But,
Right.
But yeah, so it was a quasi-clean win, I would say. You know, but then you get the awesome shot of him that we all saw in the trailers and all the promotional material. He's, like, on the volcano, and they have the shot of the cross in the background, and it looks like fucking hell. And his head's growing out, and I was like, okay. I was like, that's, like... That, like, I don't know, King Ghidorah in this movie is just so fucking good. Like,
Yes.
It's just I don't know if I'm gonna go so far to say the best King Ghidorah ever. Because like the Showa one and like Monster Zero and Ghidorah, like I just love so much, but it's like right fucking there for me.
This it definitely made King Ghidorah like certainly much different from his role in the original Showa series, but also like sort of similar, like because they sort of reveal that he's not from the Earth after he survives the Oxygen Destroyer attack, and they're like, he can't be from here then, you know, and that sort of gives him that background that he's an alien, like he's an invading species, and he's trying to sort of terraform the world into his image to suit his needs. So I thought that was cool, but he just looks so great, and then when he regenerates the head, you're just kind of like, oh, this is so good. Like they gave all the monsters new powers in this movie. Like Rodan's like just made of flame, basically.
Yeah, he's like Rodan's like a hodgepodge of like his classic design, where Rodan comes out of a volcano in his 1956 movie. You know,
yes,
he's got the supersonic flight. But then it's like, you know, in the 90s, he's Fire Rodan in Godzilla versus Mechagodzilla. And, you know, talking about a thing that's like paying an homage to earlier movies. I mean, Mothra's sacrifice to rejuvenate Godzilla is like lifted, like again, almost shot for shot of what Rodan does in Godzilla versus Mechagodzilla.
Yes,
except it's kind of random in that movie, and it's like explained a little bit in this movie that Godzilla and Mothra are like the king and queen of the monster world, which I thought
they got a thing going on.
Pretty cool. Oh yeah, there's like the other random scene where Kyle Chandler's like he's like, Colonel, King Ghidorah's hitting here, and it's either for a food, a fight, or something else.
Something else.
And I was like, what? It's like that was.
That's how you keep it PG.
I don't know. Yes, yeah. It was like, I was like, huh. That was again, inserting humor like in like the weirdest places in this movie, where like serious shit is going down. He's like, oh, I'm not gonna say fuck. We say fuck in this podcast. We swear a lot, but like that's
But you know,
like,
that's
I was
cool.
like, yeah, that's exactly. But I was like, that's where you're gonna like stop yourself. Like the world is like literally ending around you, and you don't want to drop an F-bomb. Like, all right, cool.
But that whole scene was great too. When they lure Rodan to fight Monster Zero, they're still calling it at that point, and so Rodan's like following them, and he just takes out every single plane that's following them, like bit for bit. But it's just the coolest sequence. Like he flies over the village and like causes like basically like a hurricane like level winds that are like blowing people away, and then he eats one of the ejecting pilots. Just like chops him, just like I think that's the first time we've seen a monster eat a person in the Legendary series.
Yeah, I mean
it's alluded to in Kong Skull Island, but
yeah, oh yeah, and I guess you can probably count Ghidorah doing it earlier in the movie to Serizawa's doctor assistant friend.
Well, he squishes her.
That's his head that comes down and bites like the block of ice that she's on.
Oh.
And then he pulls it up and like chomps on the ice after.
Yeah, okay, yeah, I remember. Oh, yeah, okay. Good stuff.
Seemed a little excessive way to go after her, but yeah, like that's that was like funny too. That's like, oh, we gotta like lure Rodan away, so let's like kind of lure him in a path over the village. Whoops.
Yeah, they could have done a better job with that. Them being the characters, not the movie makers.
Yeah, I don't care from like a movie standpoint because we got that visual. Yeah, he's like hurricane winds in this. Like in the older movies, it's like a sonic boom thing that he does. But this seemed more like he wasn't doing the sonic boom thing. But
he does do like the wing clap where he just like claps his wings together and flies straight up. Like that was pretty cool.
Yeah, that was sweet. Yeah. And then I like how he definitely fills the Starscream role in this movie.
He then fights, like, they just get away from Rodan when King Ghidorah shows up, and that's where you get the shot of him in, like, the storm that was from the promos, and it just looks great. I don't know, a lot of people hate the always shrouded in, like, stormy motif of this movie, but it makes sense from a story standpoint, and I think it still looks good. You can still see everything, so I'm kind of not with you.
I thought it was like cool. Maybe it's like how like we're pro wrestling nerds and stuff like that. Like the fact that it's like Ghidorah gets to make an entrance with like storm effects, basically, like whenever he's like showing up. And I was like,
sure,
all right, that is like a cool like. Yes, it makes very little sense that King Ghidorah has a storm that just wraps around him and follows him around, but I don't care. It looks cool as shit.
Yes,
and like
anything for the shot.
And like, it's like, you know, again, like getting back to the Boston scene when like Maddie is like standing on like the rooftop, and it's like they're like she's trying to figure out if like Ghidorah's coming, and it's like the wind changes direction, and it's like the storm starts to roll in. I was like, oh man, I was like. That's fucking awesome looking. I mean, like, look, like, this is a movie where they're logic out the fucking window and, like, have fun with it. Like, and so, like, if that's, like, where we're operating from, like, I'm totally on board with King Ghidorah having a storm. And, like, look at, like, that scene, like, after. Now, I wish we got more of this. Like, when King Ghidorah attacks DC, and like him and Rodan,
Yes.
like basically like they're like that looks like awesome because it's like Ghidorah's storm is just like over like everything, and it's just
Yes.
I don't know if you caught it, but like I think there was like a battleship called like the SS Brody. In that scene, like being Brody from 2014, and I was like, oh man, even his fucking ship can't catch a break. It's the only
but that scene was like the one missed
only ship in the
opportunity
fleet that can
movie.
defuse bombs.
That whole DC scene was a missed opportunity. It was like you didn't get enough of it, really. They should have shown them
There
like
should have been a little
flying
bit
in,
more of that.
and then like Rodan like destroying the city with hurricane winds, and then Ghidorah flying in afterwards, and all the buildings just like crumbling to pieces with his storm. You know?
Yeah, I don't think like they didn't need to stay on it too long. But it's like, I don't know, give us like 45 seconds to a minute more.
That's what I mean.
Monster stuff happening there. Yeah,
just
then,
show
like,
how quick they could do it. You know,
it
would make them
and
more.
that's
powerful.
like really the only like lull in the movie is like around then, in my opinion. Like, you know, you get a lot of like, you know, Madison hatching the plan to steal the Orca. We didn't even touch on that. The Orca's whatever, the gimmick they're using to kind of pacify monsters and stuff like that. But whatever. We're onto the monster shit. Who cares about the Orca?
Yeah.
But so like it's just an excuse to get them to Boston at this point. But like
Boston.
But like Godzilla's got a home. Godzilla's got a bachelor pad.
Yeah,
going on in this movie.
His dead friends lay in his bachelor pad.
Yeah.
The Zuzu statue from what's it call it? Why can't I think of the name of the? Yeah, why can't I think of the name of the goddamn movie? The Exorcism or The Exorcist? Excuse me. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
There's the same statue from I think 1 and 3 from that movie is in this movie in Godzilla's bachelor pad. So he's a collector too.
Yeah.
He likes the horror stuff.
Yeah.
Big NECA fan.
They find out that Godzilla just had a huge like baseball card collection like down there, or no, he has a huge like Beanie Baby collection somewhere tucked away down there.
It's Boston baseball starting lineup figures.
That's why he's so pissed about what happens next. But yeah, I mean, we already kind of touched on the sad scene, but like Godzilla gets to Boston like very quickly, and they again kind of touch on like I like the way they handled the Hollow Earth stuff.
Yeah,
kind of throughout the MonsterVerse, where it's like they just keep going like, yeah, it's like a theory, it's like an idea, and it's like, you know, everyone kind of gets like brushed off as like a crockpot or a crackpot. Not a thing that you slowly cook delicious meatballs in, but you like, it's like even like in this movie, the bad guy from Billy Madison is like, yes, I knew the Hollow Earth thing was like real. They're like, what? He goes, whatever. It's like some shit with like tunnels and stuff. You can get around the planet pretty quick. And I was like, good. I like it that like that's just not like this has been like a pervading theme through like this now trilogy of movies. And, like, everyone just kind of brushes it off, like, in some, like, whimsical way that I think is actually pretty funny. But then we get to Boston, and we are Boston boys.
So, we both grew up in Boston. Growing up, my dad split season tickets with a bunch of his coworkers at Red Sox games. So, every summer I'd go to, like, 2 to 3 Red Sox games. I was there for the Johnny Valentin unassisted triple play, which is an incredible thing. And not that anyone listening to this actually cares. And so I grew up going to Fenway Park, and to see King Ghidorah just plop himself down right in there, I was just like, oh, this is the greatest thing in the world.
Yeah, whereas I'm a basketball boy and a football boy, and really don't fucking like baseball, I also thought it was awesome from a different point of view of seeing King Ghidorah destroy Fenway Park.
I'm different from a lot of other fans. Like in the 90s, I wanted the new Fenway Park. The old Fenway Park had like urinal troughs, and like you go to take a piss, and you're like shoulder to shoulder with some drunk creep, you know. And I'm like 10 years old, like doing this, and they're just like looking down at me while I pee. I'm just like, God, fucking damn it, get me out of here. So I don't. In that respect, I don't really care that they tore down Fenway Park.
we have like a lot of like international listeners, and like take our word for it. Like Fenway Park was a dump for a long time. It's actually quite nice now, but like
since they got new orders in the late 90s, early 2000s, and that's why we were winning championships, because the old ownership was terrible. And like they thought these urinal troughs were just fine. No need to update.
Oh my god, like again, international listeners or people who don't, or all the ones that don't live in Massachusetts, like take our word for it. In the 90s, and like even though I didn't like baseball, I somehow found myself at Fenway Park quite a bit, and I was like fucking dumb. But it's nice now.
Yeah.
It's really nice now.
They made the changes.
I mean, the seats are still too fucking small, but
and you're not a big guy like saying this either. You're a normal sized person, and you're saying the seats are too small.
Yeah, for the fucking $12 I'm spending for a Coors Light, I want a little bit more real estate there. But like,
so it was awesome to see King Ghidorah destroy Fenway Park.
There's also like a Dunkin' Donuts sign in there too.
Yep. But you also get like the iconic Sitco sign in the background for a lot of these scenes.
Oh yeah. God, that should never go anywhere, and people like want to tear that down like every 5 years. I feel like, but I was glad. I was glad we didn't see the garden go down. Because again, it's a lot of Celtics banners hanging up in there, and I don't want to see any harm come to those babies.
Yeah, I still like that arena, so we don't need to tear that one down. The old Boston Garden, on the other hand. Good thing that one came down.
I do appreciate that they didn't do something like hokey and try to like when you like watch like Patriots games like on TV for the people not in New England, like Gillette Stadium is nowhere fucking close to Boston. It's like 30 some odd minutes like south in like a town that one of our mutual friends is from, and that town is fucking destitute, and that's the only thing that is happening in that town. Literally. And it's not destitute; it's just woodsy and boring. But it's like, they always like make it look like that it's like somewhere like right in Boston. Like on TV,
they always shoot the
like,
bridges.
oh, we're at Gillette. They're like, oh, here's the Boston skyline. That's 45 minutes away. So I was glad they didn't do that in this, but it was. I guess like as like Boston people, like we will always kind of like look at these scenes of like first, it's awesome Godzilla, King Ghidorah, Rodan, and Mothra fighting in Boston. It's fucking great. Yes. That's awesome.
It would have been awesome seeing them fight anywhere, but we have like just having them fighting in like a city that's 10 miles from us is pretty sweet.
It's like. But like there's always stuff too. It's like where like the people are like the human characters are jumping into cars and like trying to outrace King Ghidorah through like the streets of Boston. And like, come on, the roads aren't that wide in Boston. Let's be fucking real here. There's a reason why we have so many traffic issues, because our roads aren't that straight and they're not that fucking wide. That's our fucking problem around here.
The cow paths. It's all the memes are true. Also, if you think about it, we've had like The Departed. We really don't have very many Boston movies, so this is like a huge get for us. All right.
Yep, no Boston movies at all. No movies take place in Boston. I'm just glad we had a climax to movie in Boston that did not feature Matt Damon, Mark Wahlberg, Leonardo DiCaprio, or Ben Affleck. That was a nice change of pace, but
that's what I mean. Like we had the Departed, that was a Boston movie, but like other than that, we really don't get these types of movies. Certainly not blockbusters, because I guess maybe Boston's not flashy enough. So this is a huge get for us. I'm dead serious.
Like I was thinking, like Gone in 60 Seconds. The Town.
That wasn't in Boston.
Wasn't the
Gone 60 Seconds was L.A.
What's the one where they're? It's not The Town. There's another one where they're like racing shit through like the North End. Whatever. We don't need to spend time on that.
I think that's The Departed.
No. We can come back to that offline. But
okay.
Well, Kevin Bacon wasn't in this movie either. That's another fucking go-to for Boston shit. But yeah, I mean, we get it's just very cool to me that like we get this like I don't know, 4-way showdown, or not 4-way, but tag team
tag
showdown
match.
between Godzilla and yeah, it's tag match, and Rodan and King Ghidorah, I kind of wish they kind of put a little bit more emphasis on like Mothra and Godzilla, apparently being, I don't know, whatever they are, because like it just kind of seems like it's like in Final Wars, where it's like I kind of feel like they don't share like a lot of screen time together. They get like kind of like it's like Mothra arrives in the scene, helps Godzilla for like a second, and then she's like fighting with Rodan for like the rest of the fight, and then like the only like real Godzilla and Mothra like interaction is like when she like sacrifices herself and King Ghidorah like blows her away, and then like Godzilla like absorbs her. It would have been cool if they had like a little like scene or something like them like acknowledging each other, and I don't know, having some like interaction with each other or something. But
well, she kind of interacts with Godzilla a little bit, like when he's down, but other than that, there's nothing.
Oh
really.
I would like something a little bit more direct, like really like a step. Like I think that would have made Mothra's death like feel a lot more impactful. Like you could have like Godzilla like look a little sad like when that happens, but even still, like King Ghidorah is still like
or something like just roar in agony,
Yeah. Like, because that would have really got King Ghidorah over as, like, he's truly fucking evil. Like, I mean, if that hasn't been established enough, but it would have been, like, he's really fucking evil.
Yes.
And, it would have made you feel the feels for the kaiju. But, like,
I
King Ghidorah, like, kicks the shit out of Godzilla for a good chunk of this fight.
He does. And also, like, Rodan's, like, really beating up Mothra. Like, they're flying all over the place. They crash into the Charles River when Madison's running on Soldier Field Road to get to her house.
Yeah.
Like
That's an expensive house.
Yeah. It's Cambridge, baby. So they crash into, like, the Charles. They're flying all over the place. And meanwhile, Godzilla and Ghidorah are having their back and forth battles. And I think sort of Godzilla's sort of getting the better of them at first, but then Ghidorah steps in the power plant and just becomes like Super Ghidorah after that, gets powered up. Like, you know how in like the good Godzilla games for like Xbox and GameCube, how like when you get like
the rage mode?
Yeah, you get like the rage mode. That's how I viewed that. Or like the electricity mode or something like that. Like the electricity icon, so that you had like more beam powered stuff.
Oh yeah.
Like that's how I viewed that as like part of the fight scene. Was like that was just so good. How after that Ghidorah just beats the bag out of Godzilla for a couple minutes.
The best is like when he like takes him like almost into space and like drops him from like super high in the atmosphere, so high that Godzilla like starts burning up as he's falling. I was like, oh man, that was fucking great.
And then he just lands back first into the ground. So those new spikes he got are paying off.
Yeah, good. Yeah. I can protect you with a good back bump. But
how do you feel about the stinger that Mothra had?
I was good with that because like I always kind of feel like Mothra needed like another weapon. If Mothra's not going to have like the beams that she had in the 90s movie, I thought the stinger was good. I know like in the Mothra trilogy, she's not stingers, but like she has like other projectile weapons and stuff. But like, I thought that was good because I mean, Mothra already barely resembles a moth, more of like a butterfly, so might as well just go give her like a bee stinger. Like, she could just be a mix of all the insect kingdom.
Yeah.
So
that's how I viewed it too.
I thought like Rodan was like
addition.
Yeah, I thought Rodan was dead when that first happened. I was like, oh,
you certainly
that's too
thought
bad
so.
Rodan's dead.
Yeah, but I felt like he had such a good showing that I didn't mind that he died. I was like, you had to make it so that Godzilla got his edge in his fight. So you have to get rid of Rodan, and then sort of Mothra sort of comes after and sort of is looking after Godzilla, sacrifices herself to save Godzilla basically. So her energy falls into Godzilla, and then we get like the coolest shot ever, which was burning Godzilla, which was Mothra's like essence inside of Godzilla. And I didn't notice this in the theaters. This was something I only noticed watching it the second time when
the wings.
Yeah, the wings were part of the explosion and the Mothra cry too. Yeah,
I remember that too. Like in the theater, I remember like thinking I saw something that looked like. I mean, I heard the chirp, But like,
Yes.
yeah, the wings, I didn't, for whatever, just as we were saying, like, we both were basically shit-taked when we saw this movie in the theaters for
I
the
was
first
sobered
time.
up at this point.
Well, I wasn't. But, so, like, that's probably how, because I probably had some Jack in my my theater coat.
Right.
But, so that's probably, like, how, I missed it, because I remember I saw it, like, online, like, quickly thereafter, and I was like, and at first I was like, is that just, like, Photoshop pictures? Like, did that really happen? And then, like, when I watched it again, I was like, oh, no, shit, there it is. I was like, that's pretty cool. Yeah, so Godzilla gets his nuclear pulse from the 90s and simultaneously becomes Burning Godzilla. But not the Burning Godzilla that's going to die. Just
no.
the Burning Godzilla that's
they still talk
cool.
about him melting down, but it's not about death or anything like that. So you still kind of got it. It's just a different take on it, which is fine. And but like the whole scene is just incredible. Like Ghidorah can do nothing about it. He's like two of his heads just melt like after the first beam, and then like he tries to get him with another beam after that, and then he gets a second explosion and basically crushes his chest, and then you see like they pretty much like they white it out for a second. Godzilla emerges, no longer burning, but with the remaining head of Ghidorah in his mouth, and he just atomic breaths it into dust. And you see like little yellow bursts like in his teeth after that.
Yeah, that's fucking great.
It was so good.
I mean, that's like effectively the end of the movie. Godzilla does like a big roar on the rubble, and like all the monsters, wherever they all, despite wherever they all were from, they all congregate in Boston at the same time. Again, not a thing that really bothers me.
Yeah, it's just for the shot. Like all the monsters that made it there saw this happen, and like Rodan shows up, and Godzilla just sort of stink eyes him, and Rodan's like, nope. I tap out.
Yeah.
He's got the
hurt
shoulder.
Starscream. Yeah. He is Starscream all the way. The Monsterverse.
But
that's fine though. I know when he came back, I was like, all right, sick, because I like this Rodan, so I wanted to like stick around.
Yeah. So he's not
I don't
dead.
know what
he's
we'll get in the future, but
but he also has a shoulder injury, and I can sympathize. I know what you're going through, man.
He's gonna be wearing that like weird that like weird like athletic tape stuff now that people wear all the time. Rodan's gonna be like Cesaro, and he's gonna be like wearing it for like the next like 10 years.
Fantastic. So that's the end of the movie. We ranted about it for a good solid 45 minutes because we love it. If this were anything to do with wrestling, to me it's Hogan and it's the Mega Powers versus the Mega Bucks. It's Hogan and Savage versus Andre and Ted DiBiase.
I will go along those same lines, and I will say it is this match is good in my head. I haven't watched it in a long time, but I liked it a lot as a kid. It's Demolition versus Andre and Haku at WrestleMania
6. Good ref. I like it.
Yeah.
But as for rankings, I know some people are going to be like, these guys get out of here. No way. This is my favorite Legendary movie, and I gave Skull Island 4 stars, so I have no problem saying 5 stars. This is one of my favorite Godzilla movies.
This is, I remember like, I was kind of back and forth going like, oh, is Skull Island better than this or not? But, I'm giving the nod to this. I think this is also my favorite MonsterVerse movie. I'm not gonna 5-star it. I'm gonna 4-star it though. It's which is what I also gave Skull Island. But yeah, I was like, you know what? I was like, this is like the most fun overall of the 3.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just fun. It's actually like kind of odd to me how like this is not it was gonna quote unquote aged well in terms of like online perception, internet perception, like whatever. Yeah. It seems like this movie kind of gets dogged on a lot. I don't know. I mean,
do you think that has to do with its performance?
It's not a deep movie.
Yeah.
What was that? Yeah.
Oh, do you think it has to do with its performance? And do you think this has to do with its performance in theaters? Like people are just like, it didn't make that much money, whatever.
Yeah, I don't know. It's like I don't know. It's like I said to you like offline. I was like, No, I mean, whatever. Like what you like, don't like what you don't like. But
Yeah.
I always go, geez, I can only imagine like what would happen if like Godzilla versus Gigan like came out tomorrow in 2021. Like, is it like, you know, do like people take like, if you don't like this movie, like you don't have to like it. Like some people take it. I don't want to say like take it too serious because you can do that if you want, but like. Yeah, I don't know. It's I'm just kind of surprised by like the dislike this movie gets. And again, it's not deep. It's like, but it's I don't know. It's a popcorn movie, and you get like some of the best versions of Godzilla, Rodan, Mothra, and King Ghidorah fighting for a long time. So it's good with me.
And you know, a month ago we said like, you know, if you do like Godzilla 2014, keep liking it. Don't let our opinions sway you otherwise. And I kind of feel like it's the opposite way here for this one. Like, I feel like people might not hold this movie in as much reverence, but I really like it. And so, you know, you don't need to rag on me if I like this one and you don't. Leave me alone.
Yeah.
Don't bully me, man.
Yeah. Yeah. Godzilla says I need to fight my own battles.
Good ref. So, glad I popped you there. Did you get any figs?
I sure did. I'll start from least important to most important. So, full disclosure, I had a little bit of a birthday ski in between our last episode and this. You and I, we're February babies. That's what we are.
Different signs, but still same month.
Yes. I am the fish. But anyway,
I'm gonna
so in lieu of a birthday cake, my wife made me a cake or tower of beers, and she told me like so in a cake like she decorated with like a whole bunch of like I don't know like shitty toy tanks and like toy trees and shit like that, and but it also had a bunch of like really like awfully painted bootleg Godzilla Anguirus figures. Then she was like, "Yeah, I found these on Amazon for like $5 as like monster cake decorations or something like that." So that's why she bought them. But it's like it's essentially like a ton of different Burning Godzillas, like painted different colors. I actually have other bootlegs of the same thing, and like. And an Anguirus that's like painted like in the Trendmasters colors, but like is like of the traditional like 1968 style Anguirus. So those are pretty fun. And also my birthday because you know we are mask wearing people here on this island. You be fucking safe. She got me a possibly also a bootleg item, but it's actually Godzilla versus King Ghidorah from King of the Monsters on like you know what they call them, the gator masks, like the ones that you kind of put over the ones like the nylon ones that kind of like tight like around your neck and kind of pull them up your face. Yeah, like sometimes like we go for like walks like by where we live and stuff, and that's easier than having like we may drink while we're doing it. So it's easier to pull that up than a traditional mask over your ears. So I have a Godzilla vs. King Ghidorah gator mask now. That's nifty. But and then there was a comic shop by the both of us that you said offline you don't really have any figures to talk about because you went there and got everything but Godzilla figures.
Yeah, I didn't have any Godzilla shit for me.
But what did you get in a nutshell?
Oh, I got 2 Star Wars figures. I got Darth Maul and Darth Vader. I got an SH Fig Arts Triple H figure. I got a Mattel Triple H figure. I'm not the biggest Triple H fan. They just happened to be there, and I was like, cheap enough, I'll get them. A Shawn Michaels figure, a Hideo Itami Kenta figure,
Kenta?
Michelangelo figure. And I think I paid under $50 for everything. I got a LeBron James and Paul Pierce McFarlane Toys 2-pack.
Yeah, mine's still in the fucking mail. If that guy listens to this, I still have not gotten it after I have sent you 2 angry emails about it. But anyway, I digress. But I went to that comic shop, and not a comic shop that has a lot of Godzilla stuff to begin with. They had some of these like Diamond Select like these kind of like weird, goofy, like, 4-inch figures that I got like the Burning Godzilla one, the Rodan one. I don't know. They look a little weird, but again, it's a comic shop that was doing a 50% off sale. I felt the need to buy them. But anyway, the main event of my purchases, 3 Bandai figures.
Well,
Singular
you
Point.
didn't get anything to drink out of?
Oh, I thought we covered that last episode. That's right. For my birthday, you got me a Godzilla versus Mechagodzilla drinking glass that I promptly poured a beer into as I watched the Celtics that very night. So thank you for that.
I didn't remember if we covered it on the last podcast or not.
Well, it's a birthday gift. We'll cover it twice. Yeah. So, yes, I got the Singular Point Bandai figures, the Jet Jaguar and Godzilla Ultima, as it says on the tag. These seem like they're the hot item of the week, month-ish.
And you got them quick.
Again, like, I love the design, whether you like design or not, whatever. We're talking about quality of figures now. Like, I personally love the Singular Point designs, but in terms of figures, I don't know. I mean, it's Bandai Movie Monster Series. It is kind of what you would expect in terms of the Movie Monster Series now. The molds are great. The paint is basic stuff. So Godzilla, the Singular Point Godzilla, pretty much is like the body is like all like kind of like a gray plastic, and then there's like whitish silver toes, teeth, claws, dorsal plates. None of the red that's like you can clearly see in the trailer, like on the fins, even though like it's molded in there. And the inside of the mouth like has like all like the rows of teeth and like the 3 throats or whatever's going on in there. None of that's painted.
Yeah, hard to get to.
Kind of like a minor quabble. They are. It's a bit of a minor quabble because like the figure still looks really good, but we were talking about friend of the podcast, Shinrob Jira, posted a video on YouTube this week, like reviewing these figures. My sentiments are pretty much the same as his. The biggest complaint I have is that like the tail is like in 2 pieces, or it's the no, it's 2 pieces. I take it back. But like the second piece of it is like doesn't like line up super well, like with like the rest of the tail.
It looks like they made the tails and like they cut the tail off at the wrong point, and they basically attached it. Like it looks like the tail is too big for the plate that it's attached to.
Yeah, and I think what makes it look worse too is like the second part of the tail, like the plates aren't painted, so like it sticks out even. It's like you have an abrupt end to the paint, and then you have the second piece added on that doesn't like fit super well. So that's kind of odd. But I will say though, overall, like this figure is really sweet.
Yeah.
Outside of the tail thing, like that's like a nitpick, and the paint. Well, I guess it's slightly more than a nitpick, but like. The paint is more of a nitpick, but like this figure like, looks fantastic. It's kind of similar with like the Jet Jaguar one. Like
this figure is so awesome.
I was saying to you like offline, like this Jet Jaguar design is like fucking ridiculous.
I'm so happy it exists
because it's but like putting like the design part aside, like from like a figure standpoint. There's all these like Jet Jaguar's like arms and legs and like crotch area are all kind of like a flat like off-white, like an antique white type plastic, and like there's a bunch of like nuts and bolts and stuff like that, but like none of it's like painted or highlighted. So like I hate that it's like all this detail. Again, same deal, sweet mold, but not enough paint like for the detail. I guess it's more of a nitpick, but on like the body. There's like a couple areas where it's like the paint is kind of like splotchy, like it looks like it kind of like spray painted over like a little bit, but again, it's like you gotta like really look for it. I mean, like these are gonna like kind of sit like on your shelf. You're probably not gonna like pick them up and study them under like a microscope. So it's it is what it is. Like, but like it does like drive me nuts that like again all these bolts and panels and shit on his body and they're not painted.
Yeah.
But still, though, cool mold, great looking figure, wild design. And then Well, sorry, were you going to say?
No, I agree with you. I love the design. I wish the figure was a little bit more detailed, but it's more about like what it represents than the actual quality of it.
Yeah.
I feel like.
Also, these are like, I don't know, like $15 to $20 figures.
Yeah.
Like,
Don't expect the world.
Yeah, so and like they're better than Playmates figures, like that are almost like in the same price point and whatnot. But it's like, again, it's just one of those things. Like I just remember growing up like Bandai being like the gold standard, and like I feel like they are the silver standard right now. But still, like whatever, cool designs, just like little things I like wish were better. But then I got the Godzilla versus Kong Bandai movie monster series Kong, and I gotta say like. Nothing really bad to say about this at all. It's a cool looking Kong. I don't know. That's it. It's a cool looking Kong that the only thing it can do is like move its arms, nothing else. But it can swivel. He's got a big like crease in like the middle, like because you can twist his body and shit. But it's I don't know, super detailed, painted well. We got a Bandai King Kong in 2021. It's fucking wild. You know? So, there you go. The Bandai Kong figure. Really fucking cool. I feel like I have to like I feel like I should like pose him with the singular point figures. It makes me think like Kong should be in singular point with this Jet Jaguar, this Godzilla. Maybe by the end of the season.
Kong shows up and he's way bigger than Godzilla.
So that is what I got. I am actually having trouble finding space for them in my shelves, so that's a problem I will deal with when we stop recording. But yeah, I guess that was a big week for purchases. I have a ridiculous purchase in the mail that hopefully I'll be talking about next week.
Sweet, looking forward to that one.
that I told you about offline.
Yeah. And I agree that LeBron James. Paul Pierce 2-pack is awesome. I hope you get it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just joking with you. Just
your eBay review is gonna suck, buddy.
I was just ribbing, but yeah, Playmates is coming out with some new toys too, and for once, I'm like, this actually looks kind of cool. Like, it's not like, it doesn't look awesome, but they have these Hong Kong battle Kong and Godzilla figures coming out. And the Kong, I'm kind of like, your arms are painted, that's about it. I'll pass, I already have this figure. But
which is so weird.
But the Godzilla, on the other hand, looks very interesting to me. Like, there's spots in it where the paint is on the panel on one thing, but not the other, and it kind of looks a little, like, cheap. But on the other hand...
Playmates.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, there's parts that are, like, transparent. Like, his hand looks like it's transparent, and, like, his tail looks like it's transparent. And I'm just kind of like, you know what? With the purple and the blue on this thing, this looks kind of cool. I'm going to get this when it comes out.
Yeah, give me like a Hong Kong Lights variant of every figure they've ever done. I want a Hong Kong Lights Shin Godzilla. I want a Hong Kong Lights Space Godzilla. I want a Hong Kong Lights Skullcrawler.
A Hong Kong Lights Shin Godzilla with the beam going. Oh boy, that would be awesome. You got like the green and the purple and the blue and like the orange like all shining on them. That would be just an assault on the it'd be sensory overload.
Yeah, it would be. Oh, it'd be so good. I agree. I think I like them both. Like I said to you, like the Kong one looks weird because like it's just like his lights have the Hong Kong lights, and it was like, so what is he doing? Like awkwardly standing in like a really like awkwardly shaped street in between two buildings. Like, what are the light sources for this paint job supposed to be? Whereas like Godzilla's like kind of bathed in it. But I don't know. Maybe that was just like the one photo that made it odd. Maybe like. It's one of those deals they splatter the paint on randomly across these figures. You can find a good looking one, but
it does look like the Godzilla is just like a hodgepodge of leftover parts, though, that they just decided to paint wild colors.
Yeah. We won't talk about the spoiler figure that's making the rounds, but it sounds like all these figures are like starting to pop up in Walmart, like kind of out of nowhere, and so. Hopefully in the next like couple weeks, maybe we will have tracked them down. I'm not paying fucking scalper prices for them. Not. Just, Yeah, no. Don't ever pay scalp prices for Playmates figures. don't ever do that to yourself. But if you miss them, you miss them. Just let them go.
Like, I'm kind of in that boat right now. I'm looking for a Destroyer, but like I'm not paying more than what it was worth. Like I got my Space Godzilla late for what it was worth. So
yes, that's the way it should be. They'll come down. You gotta play the long game with the Playmates figures if you miss them.
But like I missed the Destroyer. I remember. Did I pick that up for you? Is that what I got? Like I saw it at a store one day, and
oh yeah,
because I was just like, I don't need this.
How unselfish!
No, I was like, I don't need this. And now I'm just looking for it. I don't really want it. I just need for the cursed order, just to make them annoy me. But I think the Hong Kong figures, like on the other hand, like those are definitely like a good idea. And it goes along with like the toys that they have with like the projectiles and stuff, and like going more the toy route than the collectibles route. Like if they do that, I think that's the right move, and I think this is another good move.
Yeah. Playmates getting into the repaint game. That's
how NECA of them.
Exciting. Boy, I like them getting into the toy. More quote unquote more toy realm. Yeah. That's it's giving me fond memories of Trendmasters in the 90s, but with not as much quality. But I don't know. Maybe we'll talk more about that in the near future. I don't know.
Yeah.
But
stick around.
Yeah. But speaking of Trendmasters, maybe it's time to get into the kayfabe part of the pod.
So we've decided to move this to the back of the pod instead of opening the pod with this. So I think this is our closing segment, and it's our Fig Fan, the OIWF. Big happenings every time we talk about it, and this is no different.
Kayfabe on.
Yep, kayfabe is on. Anguirus, the leader of the Trendmasters of the universe, and I guess technically. A co-tag champion, I guess you could call him.
He is, but we received notice that he for the most part will just be focusing on the Mid-Atlantic title, and he will leave most of the tag title defenses to fellow Trendmasters of the Universe stablemates Gigan and Biollante. But also their numbers grew.
They did.
Their numbers grew, so. Let's take it so Anguirus won the Mid-Atlantic title in the first ever scaffold match here in the OIWF against Bandai Kamada-kun. It seemed like Kamada-kun had Anguirus dangling over the edge of the scaffold, and then, as they say, the lights went out. And then when they came back on, the newest member of the Trendmasters of the Universe wind up Trendmasters Mecha King Ghidorah walked his way right into Bandai Kamada-kun, shoved him from the scaffold through an AEW little bit of the bubbly table that still had all the catering on it. It was a disgusting thud. We have heard from our medical staff that Bandai Kamada-kun will be out for a minimum 2 months after that disgusting, heinous assault and bump there. But, it doesn't matter how you got there. It just matters that you got there. And Trendmasters Anguirus is now the new OIWF Mid-Atlantic title holder. And Trendmasters of the Universe collect more gold here in the OIWF.
The duo became a trio. The trio became a quartet, and on. It's an Amadeus reference for all y'all music geeks out there. So anyway, yeah, congratulations to Anguirus. He did it the right way by cheating, and more gold for the Trendmasters of the Universe. But speaking of gold, the only title we haven't talked about yet is the OIWF Championship.
Yes.
Currently held by that no good so-and-so, keeping this PG, Playmates Gigan of the Cursed Order. However, we have received word that a new monster has entered the chat. NECA NES Godzilla is challenging Playmates Gigan for the championship in a brutal Iron Man staring contest.
I mean, is that even fair? Gigan has a visor for an eye.
He has one eye, so he's at a disadvantage here. If he moves his one eye away from his target, he loses the championship.
My word. My word. We've had vicious gimmick matches here in the OIWF, but this might be the most... I mean, you could do permanent damage to your vision in this contest.
This, of all the matches we've had, this is the most self-fulfilling. I'm gonna have to be the referee and call it right down the middle for this one, because I guess we can't trust Godzilla 74. And
no, and to that point, Titanosaurus has requested a meeting with OIWF management about that match. I don't know what that means, but I guess we'll just have to hear what he has to say.
We'll find out at a later
doors.
date. Yeah, once that meeting takes place.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
So once that match is over, you got to figure Titanosaurus wants his rematch.
Yeah, I think that's we do rematch clauses here in the OIWF, and I'm sure Titanosaurus is gonna want his.
You gotta think that's what this is all about here, but yeah, stay with it, because we're gonna keep on updating you with the Cursed Order, the championship, as well as the Trend Masters of the Universe. Stable's ruling the roost here in the OIWF.
I mean, at some point you're going to assume they're going to be on a collision course with each other, but not now.
Well, okay, no, all right, never mind.
Like you said at the top of the opening, you want to follow along our figure-fed bullshit. It all plays out in our Twitter at Odo Island Pod. So, more details on that. Maybe we will randomly air some other random matches over the next 2 weeks, just for fun.
Just for fun, maybe.
Yeah, if I feel like posing some figures and taking pictures, I mean, if we feel like airing them some house show content throughout the week, maybe that'll go down as well.
I've been playing a lot of video games though, so I haven't doing much fig photography. I'm sorry for that, but I will get around to it eventually. I promise.
Yeah,
it's not a high priority for me.
Yes, exactly. It's really to pop ourselves.
I do it to put a smile on your face.
Yes. Well, this was a jam-packed one, and the next few weeks look a little cluttered. Our next episode is either going to be something about Singular Point, if Singular Point does in fact release on March 25th worldwide, or if we watch it via VPN or something of that nature. We'll have to see that, but either way, if that's not possible, then our next episode might be a little late, because the next episode is going to be our Godzilla versus Kong review episode.
Yeah, it would have lined up perfectly had they kept it originally March 26th. We could have gotten the episode out, but since it's the 31st, I think that's a Tuesday.
Wednesday,
okay. Our episodes usually come out on Monday, so
Wednesday. Yeah, it's Wednesday.
Okay, so if that's the case, we might do something little on Monday for Singular Point, nothing major, and then have the main episode come out on Wednesday after we recorded it, or possibly Thursday, depending.
Yeah,
I think
you're gonna be getting a lot of us in a short window of time in a couple.
Yeah,
of weeks.
I think I could crank the episode out after we record it and just edit it and upload it. But
yeah,
we'll see what happens. But you'll get something from us in 2 weeks' time. I don't know exactly the date yet, but it will come out just a little late.
Yeah. You might get a little Jet Jaguar with like little stubby legs episode from us. Then you're gonna get a Jet Jaguar with real boys legs later in the week.
Who knows? But at this point, though, we'll wrap things up. Looking forward to Godzilla vs. Kong, though. The trailers keep them
I hope
coming.
Godzilla kills Kong. I hope he kills him. Just rips his throat.
I think I summarized the tweet pretty well. Like, everyone's for Team Godzilla, nobody's for Team Kong, and it almost makes me feel bad for Kong. But fuck him. Team Godzilla.
No, I really don't hope he kills him. I hope he leaves him alive to see what he does to every other monster in the future. So, more of a mental anguish. So.
Well, I guess one thing's on a morbid note this week. Get anything else you want to say?